Misfortune is an obscure game for the original Game Boy. Since no known hard copies or ROMs exist, all information about the game is derived from personal accounts and some screenshots. The game doesn't contain any credits, and whoever created it is unknown to this day. Few people who have experienced it consider it to be one of the scariest video games ever made. Given its age and cult following among rare game enthusiasts, it's entirely possible that the authors of widely known creepypastas such as Sonic.exe and Lavender Town drew some inspiration from Misfortune. The story and concept as follows. The player controls what appears to be a young boy in a strange gothic building. After brief exploring, the player is confronted by a malevolent being. Despite the character never identifying itself, some people citing notable similarities claim that it might be a representation of Bahamut, Beelzebub, or even the devil himself. Upon meeting the mysterious creature, a dialogue box will appear in the text. I exist within the very fabric of reality. Do you want to challenge me? This is followed by a yes or no choice. Should the player choose yes, the being replies, then let's begin. So here's the gameplay. The player is then transported to a series of maze-like rooms, each filled with pit drops, locked doors, keys, and traps. The object for the player is to progress through each room by either reaching the stairs to the next level or solving another kind of puzzle. This can include answering riddles or choosing correct doors or pathways. Most well-known example is in a level where small four cabins are shown on screen. A dialogue box will appear that reads, choose wrong and misfortune will behalf you and your loved ones. Are you ready to play? Should the player ever make a mistake through the game, the screen will cut to black before showing a more detailed image of the demon, along with the dialogue box reading, I am God here, and what appears to be a blood-styled writing. Alleged side effects. Rumors pertaining to the game alleged harmful effects began to surface on the internet around the late 90s. Players claim to have begun experiencing ongoing depression and dread shortly after losing and seeing the game over screen. Once prominent members of the online forums who told such claims are thought to have died or disappeared when they suddenly became inactive without warning. Heated discussions soon dominated these forums for some time, but the mystery never seemed to be getting any closer to being solved. Some wrote the whole thing off as a tasteless practical joke. Others believe that viewing the image of the evil character after losing the game can really cause the player to experience misfortune as the game antagonist promised. Soon people began to speculate that the eerie soundtrack of the game was the cause. Soundtrack. The music in-game consists of deep, buzzy tones, off-key melodies. The game had a remarkably unsettling soundtrack despite composition being limited to the 8-bit Game Boy sound bank. The game over screen had especially erratic, almost nauseating music with a very high frequency that accompanied it. Rumor has it that this very track could somehow influence moods and thought patterns. Of all the tracks in the game, the only theme that plays when the first meeting the demonic entity can be found on the internet today. Availability. Searching for playable ROMs or cartridges online is futile because none exist. In fact, most of those who have played it directly hadn't sought out looking for it, but rather stumbled upon it by accident. According to a first-hand account, certain copies of various Game Boy titles contain Misfortune in its entirety. This means for accessing it through these games vary, but typically involve exploiting glitches or using cheat devices. Although some have detailed what they had done to trigger Misfortune to start, attempts by others using the same methods had always failed. Another common observation was that many of the sprites in Misfortune had been copied from its host games. Misfortune is known to be integrated in the following: Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening, Pokemon Red, Spud's Adventure, Pochi-Karat, Atelier Marie, Japanese exclusive. Closing thoughts. For this section, I'm going to speak to you to a lot less impartially and a lot more personally. It's important for you to read this part. Now, is this game really cursed? Does the specter really bide within and snare the innocent in its deadly game? Who knows? What I do know is that the game definitely exists. I know what it can do. I never played it myself, you see, but I knew someone who did. A good friend of mine, actually. We were closer than brothers and we told each other everything. He was the most enthusiastic, outgoing guy I ever met, and like me, he was really into video games. Sure enough, one day he told me that he found a spooky new side game hidden in Pokemon. He showed it to me, and even back then it gave me an odd feeling. Though to be fair, I was always easily scared. Soon after, he started talking less and less, and later he'd either ignored my calls or tell me he was sick or busy when I invited him out. He became something of a recluse. I did still sometimes get to see him at high school, but he rarely spoke and snapped at me when I pried too much over why he was acting that way. About a month later, before we got off the train after school, he said goodbye for the first time in weeks. I'll never forget the look he gave me that day. He was the macho, nothing gets to me type of guy, and he always masked his emotions really well, but now he had a face filled with grief, like he was about to cry. He made me promise one thing before he left, that I never play that game. That was the last time we spoke. Next morning, they found his scratched and bloody corpse hanging from his dismembered weight machine. The police concluded that he managed to lift 220 weights over his head with the cord still attached, looped it around his neck, and released it on the other side of the machine, causing his strangulation as the weight on the other side yanked him upwards. The most horrible detail was that he was found with hands clutching the inside of his makeshift noose, as if he was trying to tug it loose. That was it. The case was closed. Personally, I don't believe that's what happened. If you're a collector, or perhaps just heard of the legend and want to experience the game for yourself, you should reconsider. Even if you deny the existence of demons and curses, the misfortune that will fall on you is very real. You have been warned. Wow, what a story. So I guess let's talk about it. First off, I like how this story is formatted. The way it's formatted, I like it. It's very professional. It stays on point, and it's sort of like a document. It's like you're reading a police document. I like that. I like how it separates each aspect of the game into its own little sections. I like that. Not many stories do that, and I think a lot of stories, would benefit greatly if they did this, but I digress. Second is really just the idea of having, a bonus game with the original game. It's not, a new idea. Other game companies have done this where they include, secret bonus games or mini games into the games themselves. I do like this idea how there is a way to get it. It's how not every copy though has it. It's a bonus, it's a variant, it's what makes it unique. Not to mention the idea of where each one is unique, and the method of getting is also unique. So some methods may work for others, some might not, or maybe they just don't have it on. And I do like that idea. It makes it, it adds more to the myth. It makes it more rare. It makes it more believable, actually. And speaking of believable, the screenshots that are provided with the story are, again, believable. Nothing feels out of place. It feels like it was created using 8-bit, Game Boy graphics. And also it does say in the story that it takes elements from the games that it is part of and sort of uses it to its own advantage. And I do like that idea. However, what I don't like, and a lot of gaming creepypastas have a hard time, is the ending. Oh my god. The ending. Okay, first off, the personal note. It's not a bad idea, adding, I guess, the author would add his own personal note. That's fine. Up until where it mentions the best friend's death. That was unnecessary. I think it would have been best if it was kept ambiguous, or sort of give us, a mystery as to whether if it was misfortune or not, because it really kind of shows that yes, he killed himself, but maybe not. It's like, no, at that point you might as well just said that, oh, he died in a car accident or he died in a freak accident. Make it ambiguous. Make it to where, did he really die by accident or was it misfortune? See what I did there? I think it would have been nice if that was the case, but no. They decided to go out all, I guess, gory, and decided to do that, which, honestly, again, there's a time and place for gore. This was just, once again, not the time for it. And honestly, if you're writing a story and you want to end it off, End it with a mystery. End it ambiguous. End it to where it's either cliffhanger or you keep guessing what happens at the end. It's leave it for interpretation. That's honestly the thing that a lot of these stories need to nail on. But anyways, that's what I think about the story. Let me know if you guys enjoyed it or enjoyed the video. Link will be in the description below for the original story. And yeah, don't forget to check out my social media. Link will be in the description below. Dislike the video if you dislike it. Like, comment, subscribe. And with that being said, I am out.